Another day on the Styx started just like any other. The red sky bore down with incredible heat. The soils blistered one's feet if one did not take a break to allow them to cool down. Fatigue was ever present and rest was hard to come by, for when the night did come, it was ruled by demon lords. It was not that they were afraid of the day, for in this place, daylight was a mere semblance of that on earth, bearing a close resemblance to the light at dusk or dawn when the red hues ruled the skies and the shadows creeped across the earth. Demons have always preferred the night, for it is more in tune with their nature, even though the night and the void it emulates are not necessarily bad. They bring balance, through opposition, for without them, the world and the realms would cease to be. So as I stepped, having travelled all night, alone once again, travelling on the Styx, protected by my cloaking spell, the eerie dawn of the lower realms broke before me. As I walked, trying to see what the source of this light was, as I always do, the light source never visible, just a red glow behind a cloudy sky that never clears, I saw something on the horizon as the shadows receded. It rose from the ground, like a mountain, I first thinking at first it was an anomaly of the terrain. It stood out so, but after closing some distance I saw. It was in fact a man-made structure. Demons do not build structure down here. Most prefer to live in caves or underground lairs, but when they do build structures, they are built by human souls, apparitions, zombies and skeletal types, they being the most subservient of the lower realms, beings bound by bondage or whatever fate they have been dealt. So as I approached the structure, it became apparent that it was a fortress of medieval design. Its walls stood some 100 feet high and were made of sunstone, the crystals glimmering like the sun. It was built with parapets that stood out atop its walls, and it had a number of towers throughout its structure. The fortress was as wide as it was tall, and it had no windows that could be seen, but instead numerous arrow slits could be seen throughout its walls. I recognized the guardian of the Styx emblem as I approached, a bronze sword and spear crossed upon a crimson shield, emblazoned with the letter Styx. A horn sounded off as I came close, and the great portcullis gate began to rise, allowing me to enter. The guardians of the Styx greeted me, remembering our past encounter, and I exchanged warm words with them as I passed through the ranks. I was escorted from there into the castle within the walls. The castle within the gates had walls that were made of sunstone as well, and the walls were just as high as the outer walls, but its parapets were not as frequent and its arrow slits half in number. I was taken through the castle's gate and escorted through the army. My eyes were astonished by the number of weapons, swords, shields, polearms, axes and spears that covered its racks and walls. I was escorted to a stairway at the center of the castle, and we started making our way up. The stairwell was lined with banners of bravery in remembrance of great battles of the past. We went up some distance to the top of the central tower, and a breathtaking view became apparent as I looked across the horizon, this being the highest point of the structure. As I entered the tower chamber, amazed by the view of the lower realms, a man in plate armor came forward. I recognized him immediately in spirit, for it was none other than General Patton. He came to me and said, "So it is you that has been causing all the trouble. You know there are rules down here. You should not be meddling with the beings of the lower realms unless you have good reason. I responded, they come to Earth and do the same. General Patton looked at me and smirked, what do you seek? I responded, these creatures have haunted me most of my life. I just wanted to know why. General Patton laughed, ha ha ha, and put an end to it. It is what they do. But no matter, I like your spirit. One of your past lives proved you worthy to serve, so I will allow you to travel with us as one of the core until you do your service as a warrior of the Guardians of the Styx for an allotted time before you can continue on about your way. Do we have an agreement? I looked at the commander, and then looked at the horizon beyond, staring for a moment at the realms that had changed my life, before looking back at the commander and saying with heartfelt words, yes sir, I am at your service. General Patton then said, well then, put up your staff for now. You will wield a sword and shield here, until I say otherwise, and don't be calling for assistance without my command. My jaw dropped upon his words and he laughed as he saw my gait, saying to me, you will learn how to trust your comrades. We are more than enough to handle whatever we come across in this realm, no matter what in it there does lie. Now, report to the army, they will be waiting. We will be heading out on patrol before the hour passes. I reported to the army and the sergeant of arms there did greet me, outfitting me with a suit of red mail bearing the insignia of the Guardians of the Styx. He then said, choose your weapon. I was not proficient in this lifetime in any sword other than a machete, but in a past lifetime, I was a swordsman of Norse origin and of some repute, earning me a position here because of the heroic actions I did take in that lifetime as a berserker, a wild warrior possessed. Some will say that such warriors did not exist, but I am here to tell you that, yes, they did exist and were respected greatly at the time. They were not merely warriors with great strength, but mediums as well, able to enter a trance and be possessed, willingly, with the spirit of an animal they were so attached to, which was a bear in most cases. In such a state, the Berserker Gang as they called it, they took on the strength of the bear, its spirit within them, and hence, they became easily 10 times stronger than any ordinary man. It is this, the trance-like state, that they are known for, being berserkers, and it is this type of warrior that I had been. So, knowing this, and trusting that once I held the right weapon, I would be in tune with it, I began to walk along the rack of weapons that glowed with the brightness of the sun. The blades of these weapons were all made of something that appeared to be sunstone, but were in fact blades of steel. The blades looked as if they all had just come out of the forge, appearing of that red, hot, orange hue that one associates with the forging of such weapons. I went to the rack of swords, and upon finding a large sword of remarkable craft, I picked it up. It was a claymore, the sword being about 5 feet in length. It was remarkably light, being only about 3 pounds in weight when I held it in my hand, when it should have been at least 3 times that much. It had a straight, broad blade that was double-edged with long quillons that angled inward. The grip was comfortable, being covered with leather, and the pommel was shaped like a wheel. I knew at once that it was this type of sword that the spirit of my past life had wielded, and so I took it as my own. I then drew a round shield known to be used by the warriors of that time, as that was what my spirit was familiar with. So then, I equipped myself for battle. General Patton entered the army and said, "To arms, there is an enemy to pursue." I readied myself and fell in line with the troops as we gathered inside the inner walls of the fortress. The commander, General Patton, took the lead, and I fell in by his side as one of his retainers. We exited the fortress through its great gates and made our way down a byroad of the Styx to what fate had in store. Dragon Oracle